on the question of women, I want to talk, because you've written a little bit about this, and it's a subject that really intrigues me, which is the illness of anorexia, which seems to be overwhelmingly female, which is, again, it's very hard to figure out why that would be the case.
Yeah.
And also, we don't really have any evidence of it existing in the past. There are, we don't have case studies of anorexics from the 1880s or 1920s even, I don't think. So what are we to make of this? I'm saying this because I have someone in my life who is going through this process, and she's having real struggle in staying alive.
Yeah. I mean, it has, I think, the highest rate of fatality of any mental condition.
It's terrifying. And of course, I don't have any resources, really, because I haven't really thought about this at great length. Can you tell me, where do you think this is coming from? It seems to be increasing right now in centers. I haven't actually looked at the data. It also seems to me, and I'll just throw this out there, to be related in some ways with weight gain, alternatively, with also gender dysphoria, with things that teenagers and young women might have that are articulated in this way. What is going on in the mind of the average anorexic girl or woman?
Well, I don't know personally because I've never suffered from anorexia, but Hadley Freeman, the UK columnist for the Sunday Times, wrote a really good book. She has been anorexic, and she wrote a book earlier this year about anorexia, and she actually what's interesting is that she didn't tie anorexia with gender dysphoria, but some of the specialists that she spoke with, some of the psychiatrists, did make those connections in that, there is, according to them, there are a couple of common characteristics. One is particularly with rapid onset gender dysphoria among preteen or teenage girls, which is that there's a discomfort with the female body, with female sexuality, with growing up. That you literally stop getting your period when you are severely anorexic, or even mildly anorexic, it can happen. And that, again, is a way of forestalling puberty. I mean, one of the reasons why, and that's complicated too, but one of the reasons why puberty is occurring at younger ages, particularly for girls in this country, is due to overall in size, that they're heavier children. And when you're heavier, they believe there is a connection then to also early onset puberty. And so, losing weight does forestall puberty, and parents of ballet dancers know this, and children who are just underweight, that they often do develop later. So there's that, and then there's also just a general idea. They both are kinds of discomfort in and a sense of body dysphoria of two different ways. The other connection that I've heard drawn is with trans people with trans ableism, who people who believe that their body they should be somehow disabled in some way. But again, it's the belief that, the body that you're in is not right, and that what you're seeing in the mirror doesn't suit your own personal conception.
So why would this happen in modernity and not before? Is it simply because, we currently live in an era of plenitude of food, and therefore the possibility of marking yourself out against that is now available, whereas it might not have been before? But is it that?
I think that there are a few things. We know that, even though it's become unfashionable to say, we know that many psychiatric disorders, psychological disorders are social in nature. There is such a thing as a social contagion, and there are issues that exist in certain cultures that don't exist elsewhere. You have, I can't remember the name in Japan, but you had that whole epidemic of mostly boys who were essentially shut in, could not leave their room. You have certain kinds of internet addiction in Korea that is specific to that culture, to this time and place there. And we've had waves of various epidemics, again, especially among girls in this country. There was that whole thing where those girls would like shake and faint, if you remember that. And I do think that there is, as we know, actually, it's not that I think this, as we know from recent studies, that there are hugely increasing levels of anxiety and depression among all teenagers, but especially among girls. And I think here, to bring us full circle to an earlier conversation, that a lot of this is related to social media and technology because it is a fundamentally superficial medium.